listener production.
Welcome to the Motorsport Brief. Today's guest was one of the most requested, and his feature ep is one we still get heaps of feedback on. Guess what? TQ is back. G'day everyone, Rusty here for this ep of the Shortcast. We thought we'd kind of get a state of the nation with Tony Quinn on the various areas of his significant motorsport involvement. First, quick reminder of a two-parter that dropped in the past week with Emma Gilmore, round winner in the New Zealand Rally Championship, title runner-up there on more than one occasion, her love of the sport and the kind of tenacious pursuit she has had of it has taken her all around the world and back again. There was Rallycross, she competed in Japan, tackled the iconic New Zealand WRC rounds and was recently a part of the legendary McLaren team in Extreme E. Now, Emma opens up for the first time about a major crash that she had last year, her dedicated and very methodical approach to the recovery and getting back behind the wheel. She is an inspiration for women in motorsport in this corner of the globe, and it is a great chat. Check it out when you have finished listening to TQ, and keep an eye out for notifications on a post-Tassie pre-Sandown edition of Drivers Only, which lives here in the garage too. It's where I kind of step away from the mic and the Supercars drivers stage a studio takeover. We are getting lots of good feedback on those too. Thank you. Now, last weekend I was working at the Hampton Downs GT Members Gala in Auckland, and the proud owner of that racetrack, Tony Quinn, was there. He also owns the incredible Highlands Motorsport Park, Queensland Raceway, Taupo, where Supercars made a real splash this year on the sport's return to New Zealand. Plus, he's a stakeholder in the Triple Eight team, doing some important philanthropic things around Greg Murphy's Street Smart Road Safety Program and the Tony Quinn Foundation, which helps young Kiwi drivers in all sorts of ways as they climb the ladder. So there is plenty of ground to cover. And we do go slightly over the normal length of a shortcast here, but enjoy the convo. It's nice to catch up with you. Thank you. The last time we had quite an extensive chat. We're going to sort of bounce through some topics here. Firstly, for people listening across the ditch in New Zealand, NextG. This is very exciting, very big news. What on earth made you embark on this?
Look, it was something that we wanted to do 10 years ago when we started in New Zealand, when Motorsport New Zealand were in a kerfuffle with the TLX, the Super 2, was it?
The Super 2.
Yeah, all that stuff. They were all fighting with each other, and it was a bit of a mess, and Carrera Cup had finished, and of course I'd just built Highlands, so I was pretty keen to keep the motorsport business alive. But then I think Jeff Short got it and ran it for a few years, 5 years or so, and then Brendan last couple of years. And really, it's a difficult gig to make it work. But we've always thought that we could make it work, and we had the asset base, with the 3 tracks and a good relationship with all the categories and all the other tracks. So we thought we could cobble something together and make it work. But it's going to be bigger than that. It's going to be, along with the TQF Foundation, a pathway, if you like, for young aspiring drivers to make it on the global stage. And we're off to a hell of a good start. And I know that NextG hasn't started yet, but when it does start, it's going to contribute to the next generation of motorsport professionals.
So for those that aren't aware, it's the Summer Series in New Zealand, which has always had this real cachet about it. It's the premier time for New Zealand, and the work involves running the series, but also television, and it's all sounding, TQ, like fit for purpose, but the underlying thing here is about also helping new talent, which is a big thing for TQF generally, isn't it?
Well, that's what TQF really is. We're not about helping has-beens like me. Well, I could apply every time, but I'll get knocked back. But no, it's about the next generation of kids that are coming through, and with the help of a lot of people, but in particular Toyota brand. You know, they've got the CT Frock category that is globally renowned. We've got the 86 category, which is, you know, a level playing field, if you like, to distinguish young good talent from young bad talent. You know, and it's not, you know, I've spoken to the 86 guys, and I said, guys, it's not about winning every race. Sure, you have to be fast, but we also calculate the crash damage on the way there. You know, that's a big factor in race team management. You can have a really fast driver, but if he costs you a lot of money, he's not worth having. So, you know, and this is something that we need to get through more and more to particularly the 86 guys, who generally come out of go-karts or somewhere and think that they can just, shove these cars into spaces that they don't belong and get away with it. So there's a lot of education on the journey, and Toyota are a very strong partner to the NextG championships.
I've just come in recent weeks from Queensland Raceway. The work happening there is ongoing. I think after the Speed Series visited, you were about to embark on the next round of garage work there. Highlands, Hampton Downs, Taupo, which you rattled off there before. You call them the farms. Do you have enough farms? Do you want more farms?
Can anybody have enough farms? I mean, you know, I don't know. I call them farms because, you know, I've always wanted a farm. Because I think the sort of lifestyle, I mean, the financial model of a farm is awful in 99% of the cases. So I've always wanted it. I've come from acreage, and I like the country lifestyle. I live in a mid-city apartment right now, but I do long for land and peaceful surroundings, which doesn't, you know, suit a racetrack, but so I call them my farms because to stop me from buying a farm, I think.
So no more.
Never say no more. I get offered other farms from time to time, and I recently declined an opportunity because it was in the wrong state of Australia, but. You never say never, because as you said, you know, QR, all the New Zealand tracks are pretty much up to speed. We always do something every year at every track. I think that's important for assets like that you spend a portion of your turnover on improvements or whatever. So we'll always do that. But all in all, the job is done at the farms. So another farm that needed some work done is probably I wouldn't say no, providing it was doable and manageable and it had a purpose. Because if people that know me know that I have on my left hand, I have actually most of my index finger missing. And so when I count my farms on my left hand, I can count 4, and then there's one just a little stump, and I don't know what that is yet. I haven't quite worked out what that is, but it's there. But look, if it never comes, I'm more than satisfied with what I have. Don't need any more, you know. And my life in the past, since my accident, obviously, you know, life took a turn there, and I've spent seriously the last couple of years trying to organize my creations, if you like, into some sort of order that if I'm not here, they continue on as I intended, you know, for as long as they can. So that's been my journey the last couple of years, as well as doing everything else that I do. It has been a focus of mine because it is something that I have to do and make sure that when I'm not here, I don't leave a mess behind. So, yeah.
I mean, I think in a bit of the wake of the crash, if you like, maybe there was a realisation of the need to do it, or the want to do that. But have you got a bit of vigour back again around sort of racing and business and things like that? When you talked maybe 12 months ago, you talked about that framework being put in place and so on. But I sense a bit of energy about you again. Is that fair?
Well, I think every day that you have breath, you make the most of it, but you also have flashes of invincibility. You think, nothing's going to happen to you. So, yeah, I think it's... I often quote to people that, cockroaches have not evolved, right? They're the same as they were 6 million years ago, whatever. Humans have evolved and will continue to evolve because fundamentally we challenge ourselves and everybody else around us to do better. And we want to be better. We're greedy. We're greedy people, we're greedy beings. And we want more of what somebody else has got. We want what they've got and we want more of it. And so I think, and that applies to everybody. That's not just a me thing. Everybody's like that. And if you get an opportunity to challenge yourself and people around you, why not take it? And so long as you don't do it for bad or evil reasons, I think it's good. And I'm delighted with my life so far. And I have started this phase of giving back where, I don't really care if something makes $1 million or whatever. I don't really care. Invariably it does, just by chance or luck or hard work or whatever it is. But I'm more interested in improving things. And I know that sounds a bit wanky, but it's actually true. As you get older, you do realize that, things are coming to an end at some point, and you want to start giving back, because the pleasure of giving is just as good as the pleasure of taking. Yeah,
Yes.
At different levels of your life, it's good to give and not necessarily be honoured for it, or you're humbled by it and stuff like that. But it's quite a good feeling to give back.
We'll squeeze a quick break in here on Rusty's Garage. More with Tony Quinn in just a few moments. This is the Motorsport Brief, our garage shortcast for all sorts of news and stories, things happening in our game. Today's edition covers everything from Tony's take on the current state of supercars and a Quinn inside line on whether the sport will return to Queensland Raceway, as well as the new look ownership of the Triple Eight team. Let's get back to the convo now. Taupo was amazing. I was lucky enough to be there for it. It was a great reminder of what New Zealand could do, the thirst for the sport over here. It's probably a good shot in the arm for supercars too. They I think, arguably needed that. Coming off the back of QR recently, it's reminded me of what a great heartland that is for motor racing right now. It's not far be it for me to try and talk about calendars and things here, but are you confident you're going to get supercars back to that part of the world?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? Honestly, what Taupo showed them, I think, one of the things it showed them was that if you go to the heartland, you fish where the fish are, right? And, motorsport supporters, the motorsport fraternity in New Zealand is very strong. And they supported the V8s and did an excellent job. Everybody did an excellent job. All sorts of people are taking credit for it and stuff like that, but everybody did a great job. So well done, everybody. So at Taupo and, after, the talks have been, at Taupo there was a big buzz about doing a double header. That was everybody, let's do a double header next year, whatever. These things take a lot of planning, and, whilst it's a novel idea and probably one that would work, I think, we could make it work, it needs a bit of planning. But what the V8s need to do, and I think they've realised that they need to go fish where the fish are, right? Queensland Raceway has always produced good racing and good numbers and good spectators. And, I believe if they came back next year, which if I was a betting man, I'd be 99% on the money. If they don't come back, they're mad. But if they do come back, it will be a massive success for them. And, that's what business is about, creating success. And when you're successful, people want to follow you. And, we need to rebuild the the V8 thing. I mean, I speak to a lot of people who ask me what's wrong with it, and like you can't help but have an opinion. And it's very easy to run somebody else's business for them, without being totally informed. But there are some things that we should be doing, and of course I am invested in the series via Triple Eight team, and I can see things that we should be doing, and we shouldn't even be talking about it. We should just be doing it. Now, I do believe that next year there is a change of format, and a bigger, better challenge for the drivers and the teams and the races, and we desperately need that, desperately. And we also need to do more of it, and maybe for, I don't know, logistical reasons, financial reasons, whatever, we can't just jump from 12 rounds to 18, 16 rounds, but we should be able to make small steps. And if not, we can't next year. If for whatever mad reason we can't next year because of the television rights or whatever the story is, we should at least be planning for it and making it happen, and at least telling the supporters, the fans, that this is what we're going to do, and we will do it. It's important. Otherwise, people are going to drift off and watch YouTube or something else, and it's the whole thing's going to change. And I'll be fine because I can change really quickly with the wind, but I don't want to see it get any more complaints about what it's doing. We need to stop that and get on with it.
I think you and I spoke about that very similar line of discussion at Speed Cafe at the beginning of the year. We're now in August, so I think the point is get on with things, which is what you're basically saying. Triple Eight report card, bit more competition in 2024 with Chaz winning some races and so on. What do you change? Jess jumping out and things like that. What do you think?
Oh, look, I think it's great for the series, and I think Taupo started off with the wet race, and I think it was really good. And Chaz has been pretty unlucky, and I think he's found a bit of luck. And Chaz is a great guy and great for the sport, great for sponsors. So he deserves to have a good year. However, the two young fellas at Triple Eight are doing a stellar job. I think Broc's caught the bloody black cat or whatever the heck it is. He had a bit of bad luck. Will has been surprisingly good, and I feel.
Why do you say that? Because you thought there'd be a settling in phase or something? What do you say?
Look, I think, and not just for myself, I think for everybody, I think Will has been a surprising front runner, and I don't doubt his ability. But when you come from a tumultuous end of season last year and come into a new team with expectations and stuff like that, and I think there was he had a fairly big shoes to fill and stuff, and he's done a stellar job, mate. He's and not just that, he's a bloody good guy. And his girlfriend, Abby, is even better. She's a real crack up. She's like real good fun to be around. And I think I think Will's the young Craig Lowndes. Like, he's always got a smile on his face. And even when he doesn't do as well as he thought he was, he's always happy about it. And so I think great competitor, great for the team. Jess has gone to America with Shane, obviously, and sold her shares. She's got a job over there. They seem to be quite happy. They've settled down. They've bought some property. Shane's doing a great job. So that's good. I must say that Earl Evans and Steve, who have bought into Triple Eight, are going to be a marvellous addition to the boardroom. Yeah. We all think that's a good thing. So, Jamie's still got a ways to go as far as CEO goes. He's still learning, the world of CEOs, which is totally different to being a driver. But he's learning, and but with the guidance from my side, myself and Rex and Steve and Elle, I think we're going to be a formidable boardroom anyway. We might be shithouse on the track, which I don't think so, but I think we're going to, it's going to be a good thing. I'm very happy with it.
Good. I love the fact that more of Will's character is coming out, and I love the analogy you've just given with Craig Lowndes there. You've said to me separately as well about Broc and his commitment and what have you. I mean, hopefully he has a great run at Bathurst, because he is one of those kids who really applies himself away from the game, doesn't he?
He will be a champion, mate. Make no mistake, because there is nobody that I know in pit lane that is more focused than Broc, and he's obviously talented. Nobody can deny that. But he's just, I guess he just still, he's still got a little bit of youth on his side. He just needs to shove his shoulders out a wee bit, and the team's working well. Dutto and all the guys in the team, they're all, and Dutto got hammered for stopping Tom coming into the pit. Well, I would have done the same thing. I mean, I thought Tom was going to go and have a word to Broc and someone. I'd have done the same thing. I'd have stopped him coming in. I mean, I thought that was fine. But I don't know. I don't follow the whole Speed Cafe chit-chat comments thing. I really don't follow it. I see it now and again, but I don't follow it.
You've got lots of other things on your plate. Let's bounce through a couple of those to finish here. Firstly, are you enjoying the racing again? Obviously, the thing in Townsville, and there was a question mark about whether you continue. You're enjoying some racing in that GT4, aren't you? And other things.
Yeah. I mean, you're quite right. That's the good way to put it, is that I enjoy it now. I know that in the last couple of years before I had my crash, I now know that was felt like an obligation or an expectation that I should go racing. And I wasn't enjoying it, to be quite honest. I didn't want to go out and race at Townsville with the Porsche on that day. I didn't want to. I just didn't want to do it. So anyway, the crash, and then after the crash, obviously during the recovery period, I thought I'd never do that. That's me, I'm done. But, being a challenger of oneself, with a few farms, I thought, it's a bit stupid to, but so, so I go racing now. You guys call it racing, but I just call it going round and round. I'm not racing. Surprisingly, I've won a race here or there since the crash, and surprising, I didn't expect to.
As long as you're enjoying it, keep going round and round, because I reckon that's good for you. Let's finish with Tony Quinn Foundation. I think Dan Gawn said to you separately recently about the fact that, New Zealand's in this purple patch, McLaughlin in IndyCar, Shane Van Gisbergen, as you talked about before, doing awesome things in NASCAR, and he's only just getting started there. Liam Lawson, as you and I sit here and record in Auckland, on the cusp of being in Formula One, the way the talk is about 2025. But your view is already beyond that, around New Zealand talent and ensuring that we find, promote, equip the next ones.
Yeah, I mean, Dan talks about the purple patch that we're in at the moment with Kiwi drivers offshore and the young ones coming up. And I said to Dan this morning, I said, mate, the challenge that we've got is to keep in the purple patch. That's our challenge. We've got the purple patch now. We need to keep it, and that's the challenge that we've got. And that's not an easy thing to do, And so we're going to have to muster all of the strengths and experiences and all the human resource that we can to keep that going. And it was funny. I had a phone call from Scott Dixon the other week, because we are talking about, as part of the TQF, this journey into the Indy thing in America. And we've been talking to people at Chip Ganassi and all the rest of it. And so Chip Ganassi said to Scott Dixon, who the hell are these TQF, these Kiwi guys? What are they doing? And Chip said to Scott, phone them up and find out what the real deal is. Find out what they're really about. They're not some bloody chunky operation or something. Yeah. So Scott phoned me up, and we had a good long chat. And there's classic. So I told him what it was all about, and he kind of knew, but he just wanted to confirm what it was all about. And he said, "Mate, if I can be of any help, any assistance to you guys and to young Kiwis coming to America, just reach out and I will help." And you know, the same applies to Dick Bennett's in the UK. The same applies to, you know, Murph and us in Australia. You know, we have the ability to smooth the path for talented youngsters. But, you know, we can only do so much. At the end of the day, it's up to these young guys to prove their worth and prove their skill and talent. And it's a marvelous, we all love it. We love giving back to the young people. And we love it even more when they actually produce the goods and repay. You know, it's a really great feeling.
I'm glad you brought up Scott Dixon there in the introduction to that question. I completely left him out, which was wrong. What he's done in America is huge. I'm pleased you've had that conversation, which is brilliant. To finish, the book. You and I might spend a little bit of time on a book tour, maybe over December. Tell me about this. Tell the audience about this. When is that coming out? What are you doing there?
Well, what happened was, by total surprise, when the first book came out, which was 0 to 60, I'd had such an interesting life that we decided to write the story. The story then became a book, and then it became a #1 best-selling book. A total surprise, man. I mean, who would have guessed, right? And so people would come up to me in the street and stuff, and particularly in New Zealand, and because we didn't launch it in Australia, we launched it in New Zealand. And people would come up and say, "Oh, it was a great read," and it is a good read, even if I say so myself. But and so we reprinted it 5 times, which is unheard of, right? And Josie came to me and said, "Look, we've run it again. Should we print it?" I said, "No, we're not printing it again because it's not relevant anymore. So much more has happened in the 7 years since the book finished." I said, "If we're going to do anything, what we'll do is we'll do a 0 to 60 plus some, or whatever we call it. If you want to do that, I'm up for that, because there's so much that's gone on in my life in the 7 years." She said, "Okay, well, let's look at that." So I actually have always kept not a diary, but a notebook in my bag. So everywhere I go, maybe once a month, on a plane or whatever, I'll do my homework and I'll write down the date and what things have been going on and stuff like that, so that I can refer back to that for last September we did this, we bought such and such a business or sold a business or did whatever. And so I've always done that. And so it was easy for me to go back and say, "Geez, yeah, we had COVID, for Christ's sake." Everybody's forgotten about COVID, and how did we survive through that? And then I wanted to share, because a lot of people ask me, I wanted to share what people think are secrets in business. I wanted to share with them how there are no real secrets. It's just strategies and processes that you go through. And part of, if it is a secret, my secret is to keep it simple and keep it to, very limited, boundaries and challenges, and be successful, all that stuff. And I wanted to share with people how I think it can be done, right? And because I now give talks at universities and stuff like that to business people as to what they, how they should be doing it. So I wanted to share all that. So we've done that in the new book, which is called 0 to 60 and Beyond. And
like 10 more chapters or something. You've done a heap, haven't you?
10 chapters, yeah, and they're all quite relevant. And the other book finished and I was still married. Well, now I'm divorced, separated. There's another life there that I've had to adapt to and make good of and stuff like that. So it's a very relevant 10 chapters, and it's very appropriate to a lot of people's lives. And I think a lot of people will get something from it. And certainly if you're in business or in a small business and looking for a way out or looking how to improve whatever, there are some gems in there that should help I can't help. If you can't help yourself, I'm not really much good to you. But I think everybody that's read the draft has really liked it. And I'm saying to them, are you sure it's enough? Like, shouldn't we, is it enough? Do I need to do more? And everybody's saying, no, it's perfect. So I don't know what the next book will be, maybe 0 to 90 and minus. I don't know. But I want it to be fun, and I'm happy to tell bits of my story to people if they're interested. And it's been a great life.
Awesome. I cannot wait to read it. If I know you, there'll be no room for complacency, and roll your sleeves up, get into the bloody hard work. That'll be a big part of the secrets. Thanks for chatting with us, and we look forward to another TQ update again at some stage here on The Garage. Cheers.
Yeah, love it. Welcome, and thank you, and cheerio.
He is so good, isn't he? Check out his feature ep if you haven't already. You'll have to go back a little ways through the Rusty's Garage library to find it, but it's worth it. Straight talk, some good insights for those of you in business, and maybe those of you navigating the business side of motorsport too. Now, we've run a little bit over on this edition of the Shortcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. That is it for today, everyone. Bye for now.